What's up, guys? Today's lesson is on a very newly discovered aquatic monster, the UTH DUNA. Ooh. First seen in Monster Hunter Wilds, the UTH DUNA falls under the Leviathan classification of monsters, being in the same group of monsters like Lagiacrus and Mitsune. Now, there's no scientific name for this monster, but the name UTH DUNA does actually mean something. It's not random letters put together that look cool, though the name does look pretty cool if I'm going to be honest. UTH is derived from the Japanese word uzu, meaning whirlpool, and DUNA is like tuna. I cannot imagine you don't know what that's for. This makes the name UTH DUNA translate to whirlpool tuna. Compared to other Leviathan class monsters like Lagi and Mizu, that stands for Lagiacrus and Mitsune. I'm just using slang. The UTH DUNA isn't slim and long, but it's instead pretty round and fat. It's no pushover though, because it averages around 97.7 feet long and has a max required length of 112.4 feet long. We unfortunately don't have a required weight for the monster though, but based on how it looks and moves, I'm like 1000% sure it's not in the tons. Yeah, not in the tons. May Zeus strike me down if I'm wrong. The UTH DUNA's appearance seems to resemble the Arapaima, especially with its bright, shiny red scales and overall transitioning coloration, also having cyan blue stripes running its back and a light gray-brown belly. Maybe I should do a video on the Arapaima. I'll add that one to my list. So solely based on their appearance, the UTH DUNA is just a fat Arapaima with legs and a veil. Wow, look at that. It looks so similar. Its most distinguishing feature is the surprisingly heavy yet flowy veil that protects its body. The veil is formed by the pairs of long tentacles protruding from the UTH DUNA's head, shoulders, and front arms. The tentacles line with long strands of light blue cilia. This foundation supports the protective veil, which is made of only two things: water and the UTH DUNA's bodily fluids, likely being its mucus. Ew, monster mucus, gross. Looking at its tail, the cilia don't grow from tentacles, but instead grow from the tail itself, creating a long and wide veil. If the veil is destroyed, the tentacles can be retracted into the UTH DUNA's body, but the veil can be created again once the damaged cilia have been regenerated. Now for a quick run through of the rest of its body, the UTH DUNA has a flat V-shaped skull and a jaw that has 26 cone-shaped teeth along the top and 32 teeth along the bottom. The top of its jaw is shorter than the bottom, so it results in the monster having a long pointed chin. Its eyes don't have eyelids and are covered by a milky white substance, which does shine in the dark and can look pretty cool if you happen to see it. The UTH DUNA also has gill-like structures on the side of its head, so it can breathe underwater for very long periods of time. And finally, its front and back legs each have 4 thick fingers with tough curved claws that even allow the UTH DUNA to climb waterfalls if you can believe it. I don't really know how it's possible with that size and weight, but I saw it happen, and seeing is believing. Or believing is seeing? Whatever. Correct me in the comments. The UTH DUNA was first discovered in the Forbidden Lands of Monster Hunter Wilds. Here's a quick quiz for my non-Monster Hunter fans. What region of the Forbidden Lands does the UTH DUNA live in? If you pick the Windward Plains, congratulations! You're wrong! It lives in the Scarlet Forest as its apex predator. It mostly appears on land during a special type of heavy rain in the Scarlet Forest called the downpour, which is the inclemency period or hostile weather condition for the region. When it appears, the UTH DUNA can travel across the forest on land, though it always tends to stick close to rivers. This may be in case it needs to quickly swim throughout the area, propelling itself by undulating its body. If you don't know what undulating is, you know what butterfly strokes are in swimming? It's that wave-like motion we do, except the UTH DUNA does it. Now, if the Scarlet Forest isn't experiencing the downpour at the moment, the UTH DUNA instead nests in the highest area of the forest filled with deep water, which it uses to create its protective veil. As an apex predator, the UTH DUNA doesn't have much competition, so it can really eat anything that has meat. In fact, its only formidable competition in battle within the Scarlet Forest are Lagiacrus, Mitsune, and Arkveld, yet only Arkveld has actually beaten it in terms of strength. The UTH DUNA's method of hunting is pretty simple too. Especially when there isn't a downpour, they mainly eat large fish like Gajal and Great Trevally by ambushing them in the water from below. Because of how fast they can get during the attack, the UTH DUNA will launch itself out of the water, throwing its prey into the air before being snatched by the monster's jaws. But when there is a downpour, it can come out of the water and roam the forest's land, munching on other animals it normally can't catch when in the water. As for the reproduction, we don't really know anything about it. If you want, you can believe the reproduction is like the Arapaima's, where it lays eggs. I'm not saying it's true at all, but other than that, that's it for this section. So, you come here often? According to the IUCN Red List, the UTH DUNA is classified as nothing since it's not real. Its only natural competitors in the wild are other large monsters in the region, but only the monsters I mentioned are the only ones that have a chance against it, so the UTH DUNA can pretty much freely reign over the habitat. However, experienced hunters can be allowed by the Hunters Guild to slay the UTH DUNA, either for protective purposes or for personal gain. The UTH DUNA can be very disruptive in the forest during the downpour, especially affecting the woodwoods who have to take shelter and avoid the wrath of this monster. Hunters can slay the UTH DUNA and protect them, and after killing it, they can carve parts from its corpse and use them to craft gear like armor and weapons. Not the biggest fan of the armor though, I will say. I think my fit's better. Look. What do you think? Pretty freaking awesome, huh? But anyway, that's about it for today's special April Fool's lesson. Subscribe for more fish facts, and I'll see you next time.